Good afternoon. Good morning here in Orlando, Florida. So you are in France. That should be afternoon or evening for you. What time do you have right now?
Yeah, it's 3 p.m. So
Okay,
early afternoon.
early afternoon. Yeah, well, thank you very much for joining our show one-on-one with PMO leaders. And today we have Frank Chang. He's from France. So if Frank has almost more than 20 years of PMO experience coming from one of the big five consulting company in the world like Accenture, where he has a lot of opportunity to serve in different countries, establishing and helping PMOs around the globe. So I had the opportunity to reach out to Frank and bring him here so he can share with us his experience and we can learn from Frank for everything that he has done in his career. So my name is, Dr. Tony Prensa. So I having this program to bring the PMO leaders from around the world so they can share knowledge, experience, and best practices so we can have a better PMOs and help organizations to achieve their strategic objectives. But thank you, Fran, for being here. So I will let you to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about you and your current commitment. What company are you currently working and what projects are you currently working?
Okay, thank you, Tony. So sorry for my accent. As I told you, that I'm not English native. So I have around 20 years of experience on a different industry. So I had the opportunity to work for 15 years in Accenture, right? So mainly on assurance, telecommunications, and agroalimentary food.
Mm,
Around PMO activities from the Accenture experience, but within the companies I had the opportunity to work with.
mm,
I took different roles. I started with the role of developer, so I used to do some coding. So for a PMO might be strange, but not so weird. And at this time, Python was not so famous. So it was around my early days, and I had the opportunity to work on all the steps uh, required in a project. So by developing, testing, making some specs, doing some coordination, also as a project manager, and with a PMO background supporting the standards and methodology.
mm. That's interesting. So in your career as a PMO leader, what do you think are the key, I would say, elements to help people to be successful in that role of PMO leader or PMO director or PMO manager? So one of the titles that you have was the head of PMO for one big company in France. So what do you think are the key elements to be successful as a PMO leader?
I think the most important items is to be curiosity.
Curiosity.
Uh, yeah, curiosity, and also to adapt to the organizations.
Mm,
Because from experience, nothing is written in advance. So you need to experience on a daily basis, almost the reality, to be curious, to understand what are the key issues or needs, and to be able to understand our stakeholders, understand what values we can bring to the organization, and to support them. I think this is the biggest challenge uh, because today I have noticed that PMO have lost the sight of the strategy of the need. Yeah, it would be my top number one advice here, to be curious and to accept the challenge, the incoming challenge.
Yeah, and that's a very important trait of leaders, curiosity. Curiosity brings a lot of innovation, a lot of desire to help the organization to do better. So in the same token, when you say about curiosity, so in the organization that you had the opportunity to work for them, um, what about the business acumen? PMI is one of the key elements of the talent triangle, the business acumen. So when you say curiosity, is more about the business, or it's more about technology, or it's more about specific PMO processes? So what do you think add more value for the senior leadership?
I think this is, as you said, a mix, because we have a lot of standards in the market. So with PMI, it's not only the one, but it's one of the most famous. So in my experience and in my first company, it was a mix. So a mix of PMI, Prince2, ITIL, take just the sections that we need in the context to have the mix and to deploy it. It's not to deploy always 100% of the functionalities. So for sure, the process adaptation for me is key. And to make the link between this mix with the reality, so with the needs.
Yeah, well, you mentioned another thing that is very important for leaders is the encourage collaboration, and also speak the same language that the senior leadership speak, because in that way you're gonna have the connection with them, so they will see you as a partner in for them to achieve their strategic objectives. But one of the things that talking to a lot of people around the world with PMO is how they connect with the senior leadership and sit with them in the same table to discuss about business strategies, because they always see like a PMO more like a supporting organization, not as a I used to call, or I call the PMO like a profit center. So you need to be more in that mindset to add value to the company, so they see you and position you in the same place that they are, where when they having those strategic meetings to discuss about the future organization, what projects we're gonna make. So how you suggest to other PMO leaders that maybe they are struggling with that kind of situation? How you see that, and how what kind of recommendation do you have for those leaders that they want to connect with the senior leadership?
Yeah. I think there is a key element that we are talking about: project management office, but also portfolio management office.
Mm.
So usually we have to follow the project portfolio globally,
Mm.
but sometimes we need to do different way, just to accept that we have to start a specific project
Mm.
that has not been in the correct, I would say, case. And in this time, it's interesting because senior leadership wants to be fast, to be successful, and to find a way to ease and to support the management to be able to start the project under control, and to show them that it's possible sometimes to bypass some specific steps, but with another way to manage. So in this time, this is the opportunity to bring to the project to me a little bit more on the execution phase, and to dig into the project, and I would say to go deeper in the details of scheduling, the planification, to be able to support for steerco meetings, to find what are the pain points. And I think this is a way, this is an opportunity to connect to those, to the senior leadership.
Right. Yeah, that's a great thing that you mentioned. Um, all senior leaders, they have challenges and they have pain points, as you mentioned. If the PMO leaders, they don't identify with the senior leadership, identify what are those pain points and how can we contribute to resolve those or to achieve those strategic goals that usually the company they have, or those leaders they have in their hands. So you mentioned another important things when you were started the discussion is about being ready for the change. And today, PMI, they have been talking about the talent triangle, that we need to change the way of working, that we need to add value constantly and changing outputs into outcomes. So, how do you envision the agile PMO? Because in order to deliver faster and have that great collaboration, so we need to be agile, and the business agility is something that we need to do. So what kind of practices do you implement in some of the organizations that you work for to be more agile and not to be more traditional type of controlling PMO and just focusing on project management processes? So what kind of recommendation do you suggest to people to become agile in a PMO space?
In my opinion, we need to pivot from a traditional way to a new way. And first point, I think I will say earlier, very often in the talk, is about the change management, to accept new stuff and to be open-minded. And the curiosity will be an enabler for this. What I think in the latest TMI PM book, there's been a pivot into switching from, I would say, a world of process and to maybe add some interactions and to start to check the value, what we can bring. So switching to a product that is suitable for the business and that will help our business to reach the goals. So for sure, methodology is a key point. So methods needs to be complementary, and we need to switch from an agile methodology that brings we need to work as a team, more integrated team, and at the speed the business wants. Usually, from a traditional point of view, it's like you are planning for something and you're, I would say, waiting for 6 months for the outcome to be reached. The thing is that today, as the our customer needs is very fast, very aggressive, we need to shorter this timeline. And the enabler for this was to switch to an agile point of view, to be able to bring more functionalities during the timeline, and not to bring I would say one shot.
Exactly.
And for sure, we need to support this by technology, so automation, data, AI, and a new set of skills and competencies like cloud and so on. So this is around also the digital transformation. That is, for me, one big enabler for this, to be able to switch into pivot from a traditional way of working to an agile, more automated way.
Exactly. Yeah, very nice. So you mentioned something that is important about technology. So now the topic of the day is AI, artificial intelligence. So how do you think artificial intelligence will impact the work of project management and also the role of PMO leaders in organization?
I think there will be a big impact. And the key point that, in my opinion, AI should exist to support decisions and not to decide uh, at the place of the project manager or the PMO or the senior leadership. So the role of the AI is to help to summarize, to compile a lot of data
Mm,
from an automated way and to display in easiest way as possible to be able to give the alternatives of the project managers to take the correct decisions.
yeah, important. Yeah, I think that a lot of people, they some kind of afraid of that change that they will replace because there are some numbers out there. I know about one that Gartner Group, this independent organization. So they conducted a research several years ago, and they said by 2030, that is only 7 years away from now, uh, they said 80% of all project management activities will be replaced by some kind of artificial intelligence technology. So when you see that 80% of all the tasks the project manager doing will be replaced, that means the company, if they have 5 project managers, they can fire 4 and one can do 100% of the job. So 20% by 5, that would be 100%. So I only need one project manager because all the other activities, scheduling, risk management, estimating, all those kind of mechanical type of activities will be replaced by some kind of technology. And a lot of project managers, I think they are some kind of skeptical and afraid of that change. Um, so what do you think? So would you tell them to do? Do they continue getting better in all those kind of mechanical things, or they need to switch to PMI, say, more like business acumen, more in the power skills? So
I
power,
think it's a very interesting topic. I think we should not be afraid of the change. We don't need to build a wall and just to forget and all the stuff. I think there are key elements that AI won't replace is the communication, the collaboration,
exactly.
the exchanges within a team to understand the point of view of our colleagues.
Mhm.
Also, one important thing is that, in my opinion, soft skills cannot be written in a code. Sometimes, like empathy or other qualities required. For me, this won't change. Maybe not, but the future will tell us. But there are a lot of places to collaborate, in my opinion. So it won't replace everything, and we shouldn't be afraid of this new technology, which is for me a good option to facilitate.
Yeah, that I am with you. So we need to see those changes as opportunity to be better. But we need to do the adjustment. So while we are learning how we behave in the organization, And one of the things is the leadership. So we need to be better leader. Talking about leadership, what do you think about emotional intelligence for leaders? So do you think it's that important for leaders to have emotional intelligence and to be emotionally intelligent? What do you think about that?
I think there are a lot of leadership styles today.
Yeah.
And I have been thinking about all those types. And I think one type suits me better is servant leadership.
Mm,
So for sure, it's vital for me, the soft skills and the emotional intelligence
mm,
to be able to understand the other point of view. So like empathy or communication skills, kindness is kind of skills for me. So it's a way that can work in some types of company,
mm,
but it's not the only style. So we a mix of styles complement, and this is for me not only one leadership style, but a lot of different styles that can combine to be more successful. And emotional intelligence is one of the key elements, but this is not the only one.
right. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, there's a lot of theory and practices out there. So it's when you go to the supermarket, so you need to choose what you're gonna eat, what you're gonna prepare. So you take the right ingredients and the raw materials that you need to prepare the food. So the same for us, we are a product, so we need to know what feature we want to add to our professional product. Emotional intelligence is, as you mentioned, is not all of that. Is one thing that you need to look in addition to other things, so you become a better leader, a better professional. So this is my last question. So I would like to ask you, what would be your suggestions for recommendation also for the leaders that are watching this video, so they can become better leader, more strategic leader. That's something that is important today in order to connect with senior leadership and also to connect with the team, with the people. You mentioned about collaboration, how important is the collaboration, effective communication. So what would be your, I would say the three things that you will suggest to the people that are listening to this video?
It's difficult to just select three key things, but I will try to take the top three. So in my opinion, the expertise is essential. So this is our brand. So we need to have an expertise that we
Mm,
can uh, apply and that can support us in any conditions. So expertise is key. There are a lot of areas for expertise, but you need to choose one expertise that we can rely on. The second thing is communication. So we don't communicate a lot on a daily basis, especially during the post-pandemic situation.
mhm.
People are working at home. It's not easy today to
Exactly.
communicate. And even if we have Zoom, Teams, and so on,
Mhm.
we need to be next to the people around. So for me, communication and proximity is important.
Right.
And the last point will be adaptation. So we need to adapt to any context, to any problematics, any issues, to be able to understand the current situation. So, and to be able to propose, I would say, an action plan or a solution or an alternative and so on. So this will be my third topic. So to be able to adapt to any situation.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things today. So I was talking to another leader in PMO, and she's very versed in EQ, emotional intelligence. And one of the things that she mentions, I agree with her, is with the pandemic, there's a lot of changes that we supposed to have in 10 years. But with the pandemic, all those changes came right now. So we needed that kind of adaptation to work in a different environment, to work from home. So a lot of people, they never worked from home before, and now they needed to work from home to collaborate with people around the globe, because with virtuality, and this kind of, for example, you are in France, I'm here in US. So this kind of dynamic that we were forced to do it to survive and to continue
Yeah.
the normal life. So now that's the new norm. The new norm is that we don't meet as now we're trying to get back and having a lot of meeting face to face, but most of the people, they already adapted to work in this way, and they feel comfortable collaborating with Zoom, Teams, or for other collaboration software tools that are available in the market. So adaptation is one of the things, because we don't know what's going to come next. Now it was
Sure.
COVID. Now it was
Mm.
COVID, but we can determine what's going to happen next, that we require for us to be flexible and adapt and continue having happy lives. That's at the end of the day, so we as a human, so that's how we should look, that we feel comfortable doing the work, and we continue with our life and be happy.
I
But
can
thank
agree.
you. Yeah, I appreciate your time, Frank, and sharing all your knowledge and experience in the PMO space. So that was great. That our audience, they will listen what you're saying, and follow the advice of Frank, because he brings a lot to the table. But thank you very much for your time. I hopefully
You're
I see
welcome.
you soon another day.
Yes, sir. Bye. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you.